I'm good with High on Life.
Let's
Yeah,
do it.
so I finished High on Life like a week ago, and here's the thing. There's a lot of great things to say about High on Life. The game feels very fluid, but this game had great pacing. The colors were awesome. I'm going to be honest with you. This game wasn't really built for me. The fart and dick jokes, it's like for kids. It's for a kid who's
So
never
when
had.
you said you were gonna play this, I was like, "Oh man, Phil's gonna hate that game," because I didn't think this was your style of humor. So, and then you're like, "No, no, I like this style of humor," and I'm not shocked for you to be like, "This might not be landing the way that I hoped it would."
I
Yeah,
don't think it was a terrible game, but after a while, the humor here is for kids who have never said the word penis out loud, to be honest with you. And like, I'm an adult,
yeah,
and it's like you
for
can
sure.
only do so much sex jokes before I'm like, this is grating on me, especially for 8 to 10 hours of
Mhm.
playing it over and over again. It becomes not funny after a
Right.
while. And there were just some really weird design choices, right? And I mentioned this in a short, and people got all bothered by the fact that I said this, but the spoiler alert, the game ends. It's like they ran out of money.
That's
They
right.
I've never seen anything quite like it in a game before, where you beat the final boss and there's no wrap up of the story. There is no like wrapping up of conclusion of what happened. You literally beat the final boss. It says, "Yay, we beat it. That was cool." And it literally fades to black and it's the end screen. And I'm like, that is such a it feels to me like a game that was made for Game Pass and pushed out because they were like, we have to hit our deadline. Yeah, but beyond that, the graphics are amazing. The levels are cool. The way that they go from gun to skill is really cool.
A little bit about the movement in the game, because I think like whenever I was able to turn on the stream and watch it, I wasn't able to watch all of it, but the stuff that I did see, it seemed like the jumping wasn't really, it seemed like you were having trouble with the jumping, and I don't know if that was the fault of the player just based on the floatiness and movement. It looked like it was like you needed just a little bit more dash or a little bit more float to get through some of those levels.
The dash and the jetpack were cool, and also the hook shot knife was cool. Those were probably some of the coolest elements. Sometimes you had a difficult time knowing what skill to use where and what you could hook onto, because your hook shot is your hook shot knife. I mean, I keep calling it, but that's essentially what it is. It's a hook shot that pulls you towards something. They would have these little bugs float, these little wasps floating around that you could hook onto, and you could swing and reposition and get to different areas. But for me, the hook shotting, floating, and then trying to shoot from the sky was not. I preferred to stay on the ground. I liked the dash mechanic side to side. That was fine for me. Like dodging was fine, but they tried to do a lot in sort of a 3D environment, to your point, where you're floating around and like using the entire environment. And I was like, maybe I'm just old, and like my eyes are not great, and like I have a slight delay because I'm old. I'm an older gamer, and so it was not always easy for me to navigate floating through the air while shooting at the same time. The headshots feel satisfying. The gunplay feels satisfying when you're playing it, but a lot of shooter games really struggle with like their side quests. And I'm going to be honest with you, I couldn't figure out how to do them. Like I
Oh,
could
is that
not
right?
figure out where to. You get these little discs, and you're supposed to be able to go explore other worlds at the same time to do side quests and upgrade your gear. I never did any of that. It didn't feel intuitive to me where to do it, where it fit into the story. And I think I typically don't do side quests, but what I will do side quests if it feels organic in the experience,
Mhm.
right? If it feels like if it's on the way, if it's convenient, if it feels like it's part of what we're doing, then I'll do one. I'm like, oh, that was kind of cool. But like, I couldn't figure out how to do it. And so a lot of the upgrades and stuff, I just didn't do that at all. That was completely absent from the game. And I know that there's a DLC out for this game,
Oh,
but I
really?
probably am not gonna play it. I believe there's a DLC out for this
So
game. If they
one
release
like
like a
super interesting choice that I noticed for this game is you got to the end and then you went to upgrade one final time before leaving, and they're just like, nope, you're in the end game now. Good luck. And
yeah,
you're like, wait,
yeah.
what? I can't even go back and do side content now? I thought that was a really weird choice for them to make.
Yeah, well, I had planned to that. I mean, you saw that from stream. I
I
had
did.
planned to go and do one final upgrade, and I
Mhm.
was like, I went back, and I'm like, if I could upgrade, it was like way far away and I had to fight through enemies. And I literally on stream was like, nope, I'm not. Like, I can beat the boss without doing that. Like, no, I'm not going to fight. Like, if it's not right there just so I can go in a safe haven to go, like, upgrade one final time, like, what are we doing here, kids? Yeah. And I don't know, man. The internet gives you a lot of hate, but I didn't care because, like, I know I'm 100% right about this. There's some weird choices in this game that like, didn't make sense.
Yeah, so like the color palette and like the gameplay of this makes this feel like a game that I would play in front of my kids, right? So like I normally have 2 games in rotation. One's in a very adult game, and one is like a kids game that I can get by just playing in the living room when they're like playing, or I basically put in 20 minutes here and there when I can. So essentially this feels like one of those games. And then when I watched that whole boss sequence about the guy that like sits in his power bunker and just like touches himself for like 15 minutes, I'm just like, who is this for? This feels like such an odd choice. Like, okay, we get the joke, you touch yourself, but then for it to go on for like 15 minutes, I was just like, man, okay, all right, yeah, you're doing the thing. Well, good work.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think there's a certain style of humor that people really like that fits into this vein. So
yeah, which is it's disappointing because there was a lot of cool mechanics in this game. There was a lot of cool elements, but yeah, definitely the humor above everything was at like 4 hours in. I was like, please, like this is like, get me out of this experience.
Make it stop. Please make it stop. Yeah.